Saturday View on Midlands 103. With thanks to Lumclean Energy, pioneering innovation, powering progress. LumcleanEnergy.com. Have your say. Call 0818 300 103. Text or WhatsApp your Saturday View to 083 3010 103.
Hello and a very good morning to you all on this damp and drizzly Saturday morning. It is due to clear later on, but anyway, that doesn't seem to be stopping the 500,000 people who are destined for Dublin City today. All sort of events, concerts, GA matches, loads of reasons to be heading for Dublin. Of course, one reason you mightn't be going to Dublin is if you were due to fly out on an Aer Lingus flight and it's been cancelled or grounded because of an 8-hour strike by pilots. If you are affected by that this morning, if you were due to go on your holidays, due to go somewhere to visit somebody or travel for whatever reason and now you can't, let me know. 083 3010 103, the text and WhatsApp number, or give Nelly a call here at the station on 0818 300 103. We'd love to hear about how you've been discommoded and what the impact of that is. And some of you have started texting in already talking about flights that have been booked, and it must be very frustrating if you have flights booked, particularly after the school holidays, and now all of a sudden it's cancelled and maybe you have to tell kids or even the other adults in the family that now we can't go. So if you've been affected, just let us know. 083 3010 103, text or WhatsApp. And you know what, maybe you can come on and tell us exactly how that happened and what it feels like. We'd love to hear from you. But anyway, lots to cover on the show this morning, because another event that's happening in Dublin this weekend is the annual Pride March, and a group representing some of travellers, and this is kind of following on from Traveller Pride Week that took place earlier this month, are travelling to Dublin to represent not just the gay members of their community but the gay community in general. So a little bit later you're going to hear from local activist Maureen Ward, who is a member of Minkers Whidden, and that means, or translates as Travellers Talking, and they held a really huge event in Athlone recently where they brought together many members of the travelling community, gave them a voice, gave them a platform that they can speak openly about all the issues that affect them both in society and within their own communities as well. So Maureen will join me a little bit later to take us through that and talk why she and her team are on the way to Pride in Dublin a little bit later today too. That and undoubtedly we will touch on that debacle, you could call it, rather than a debate that took place on the US presidential elections the other night too, and hopefully we'd like to get your opinion on that as well. If you are an American living in Ireland and you want to give us your tuppence worth on it and tell us, does it influence your vote? Will it swing a vote away from Trump back to Biden, or vice versa? Is Trump just a shoe-in to be elected at this stage? We'd love to know, because it's such a different system than we have here in Ireland. It's vastly different. So we'd love to know your opinion and get your views on that as well. I'll give you those numbers again: 083 3010 103, text or WhatsApp, drop us a message or a voice note, 0818 300 103 if you want to talk to Nelly and maybe come on and view your opinion on it too. But before all that, I'm going to start with my next go of guests are sitting in front of me here in the studio at present, and they are all cyclists. They're all adorned in their cycling jerseys. They're part of Tullamore Cycling and Touring Club, but that's just the start of the story. They've recently undertaken a mammoth cycling challenge, the Mondello 24, and four of them were on the Tullamore, from the Tullamore Cycling and Touring Club, were part of that challenge as well. And then it goes a little bit deeper, because we're not just talking about conventional cycling, we're talking about paracycling, and particularly paracycling for people who have vision difficulties. So a very different sport, very different experience. And, you know, when it comes to building a team, we're talking tandem bikes, we're talking, you know, as a sighted pilot on the bike as well. So far from it being a simple challenge, it is an absolute mammoth, as I've just said as well. And you can only imagine what it's like when you have a vision impairment and you have to do so in tandem with somebody else. So I'm delighted to be joined by Jenny Healian, Kieran Butler and Billy Coles, as they all from Tullamore Cycling and Touring Club. Very good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Ronan.
How are the bodies and the limbs after that big challenge?
All good.
Just getting over it now.
Still alive in my case.
That's always a huge art. Jenny, I suppose you're an experienced paracyclist at this point, are you?
In some respects, yeah. I've joined Tullamore Cycling and Touring Club back in 2014 with my sister, who's also visually impaired, and we've been tandem cycling a little bit before that when we were introduced to it by NCBI, which is now Vision Ireland. That kind of got the boat rolling, but yeah, almost every week since 2014 we've been tandem cycling with either Billy Colton or Colin Quinn, or in my sister's case Dermot Milner as well.
How did you first get into cycling?
Well, I wasn't always visually impaired, so I suppose when you're a child, Santa comes and brings you a bike for Christmas, and then you're all the time on it. And then, so summers are full of just cycling around the house, like, because we're from the countryside, so like we just cycle around the house or down the road and back, and it's just whatever your parents would let you do. And then, obviously, later in life, when I was just after turning 12, I started to lose a bit of my sight. And that's when Vision Ireland kind of came on board, and they had a kind of tandem program for the summer holidays, and they'd come and they'd collect you and bring you to somewhere safe. In the beginning, it was actually the leisure centre in Portlaoise, and you'd cycle around the track that they had around the Astro pitches back then. And then it became later Bora, down at Bora Parklands. And so I've been doing that. And then obviously got really into it and just wanted to join the club. And we were lucky enough that Tullamore, our local town, had a cycling club with Billy, who was already piloting, and other people willing to pilot it as well.
You mentioned at age of 12 you first discovered that your sight was beginning to fail a little bit. Was that a rapid onset and something that you hadn't expected, and how did you manage with that as well? And what was the scale of that deterioration?
So it was kind of a little bit gradual. Like, what I have is called Stargardt's disease, and my sister has it as well. But my sister was 6 when she was diagnosed. I was 12. So she had it for 3 years longer than what I had it. So we knew there was a sight problem in the family, but we didn't know to what extent. And so in the beginning, I started 6th class, obviously at 11, and I started with a pair of glasses. Some people, that's just how it works. It's just like, okay, you're getting a bit older, you need a bit more help with seeing, you're going to have glasses. And then it became kind of like around Easter time then in 2011. It was, sorry, not 2011, 2004. It was, it really came on then. That like, oh, I can't see the board anymore. Oh, I'm missing pieces out of my central vision. Oh, I'm bumping into a
huge
few more things.
Change to have to deal with as well.
Yeah, right on the verge of secondary school.
Yeah. And has it continued to worsen, or has it stabilised at a point?
So what I found, it's very individual with different people. So like for me, I found that, okay, when at the beginning, okay, it got bad, and then it kind of just stayed at that level for a long time. Then a few years had passed, and you'd see a little bit less when it comes to those eye tests that everybody loves.
And we all try to fool.
And and then it stabilises then for a few years, and then I think it's kind of like an age-related thing maybe. But so far, so good. It hasn't changed now in a long time.
So when you're on a bike then, how badly is your vision affected? Like, what can you actually see when you're cycling?
Okay, so my condition is mostly central vision that has been lost. So I can see on the periphery, so I can see around, but nothing is sharp. Everything is blurred. So when I'm on a bike, the speed would, I wouldn't catch everything that would be coming past or that. And then obviously the lighting affects. I don't know how it just affects me. Like if it's too bright, it's too bright. You're squinting. If it's dull and gloomy, you're doing the same.
Yeah.
So like
there's a lot of additional kind of sensitivity in it too, and stuff that it goes. So
Yeah.
when it comes into cycling, and obviously, I mean, it must be, people I think often think of a tandem bike as, this will be a bit of crack, and then if they try them, they're discovered that they're absolutely terrible on them and they're falling off as well. So when we take it to the level that you guys cycle at, having that pilot and having that person, I suppose, that sighted pilot is obviously paramount too. And we've had great success nationally, actually, with Irish paracyclists in particular. But Billy Colton, you've been acting as pilot for Jenny as well. What first enticed you into being a pilot on a tandem?
Well, I bought a new touring tandem 20 years ago, just to have a different side to cycling. But we decided to do a few events on it, and we did the Border Trek, which is Enniskillen and Sligo and back. It's Cooperation North 2-day event. It used to be the Maracycle prior to that. So we did a few events like that, and the NCBI heard that there was a pilot in the club, and they approached the club to say, would we take out some of the visually impaired people, and Jenny and Josie were brought to a meeting one night. So that's where that end of it started, and it's been a success story with Josie on the paracycling, the Olympic paracycling squad
massive.
This year. So yeah, it's been good.
For yourself then, as a pilot, do you have to undergo specific training then as well to deal with it with somebody who has a vision impairment?
We have, since the girls came on board, only in latter years we've had some training, but not on the bike, because that end of it we had sorted. It was just an insight into their end of things, off the bike as well. Not to leave them standing on their own, just which can happen. You walk away with the bike and forget
in for the coffee and the muffin on a long cycle, at least.
I've been known to leave Josie behind once or twice.
Interesting, as you say, and trying to get more into their world and not just look at from the point of view of the vision, but see,
how, and to bringing them around on your arm, that you're not walking them into stuff, just going up steps and down steps. But from a training point of view on the bike, we had that sorted ourselves. In our case, but there is a good pilot training availability now,
and undoubtedly probably gaining traction and gaining in popularity too. When it comes to like cycling, and if anybody's ever cycled in a group or in a peloton, they know like communication is absolutely paramount, even for fully sighted cyclists, because it just takes one person not to pull up or not to give a warning. When it comes to then with a paracyclist or with a vision impaired cyclist, have you to really work on that, or is there just an organic connection there?
It's a totally different ballgame, and like the bike is totally different. It's like driving a car and a truck, really. The bike is not as flickable, it's not as responsive to stop because it's heavier, and you really have to be wide awake on it, and always on your mind is that you have someone else to look after other than yourself,
Yeah, and if you're going to make that sudden decision or that, in terms of braking and the controls, is one person in control of all that, or is it dual controls?
Yeah, no, the pilot has total control. The stoker, all they have is they have to pedal.
You make them do all the legwork. Is that what you're suggesting? I
the only rights as a stoker is a Christian burial.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would be too confident, Ronan, in having the person with no vision being the one with the brakes.
That's it. Yeah, I just wonder, was there a system maybe that if you communicate and you can kind of slow the bike gradually rather than say one person having all the input on it. That's the voice of Kieran Butler that have come in. Kieran was also part of this major event in Mondello. I suppose, Kieran, the Mondello 24. Give us a brief overview of that.
Oh, absolutely naive on my behalf, I'd say, as a beginner cyclist who only took to the road in January, really. I don't know, I kind of got forced into it. I didn't sign up for it myself. It was the Paracycling Ireland girl, Claire, had me in a WhatsApp group, and she voluntold me I was doing it. So once that happened...
It's often the best way.
I suppose, look, once I was committed to it, I put in the effort to try and get to the level. I'm nowhere near the level of Jenny here or Billy, but... as they say, everyone has a place in the choir, so I did my fair share. I think we covered 170 kilometres each over the 24 hours at minimum.
Yeah.
So like going through the night and wind and rain, we got all 4 seasons in the 24 hours, and sleep, I think, was the biggest problem for everybody. I think between us, we probably got 30 or 40 minutes sleep on the 24 hours.
So a team of 4 and someone continuously cycling every time, with one person during the 24 hours, or was there more on the track?
No, there was one from the team, so it was like Le Mans style.
It was a relay.
Yeah, so you did it in, was it 4 or 5 lap bursts? Because I was asking before you came on air, average speeds. Jenny, gives an indication there, typical speeds going around the track.
What was it, Billy? About 32
Around
to
30,
34?
Yeah. Like, so not a Sunday stroll on a bike, like out for a casual. I mean, you again, like, you know, gives you an idea of the level of athleticism involved. So Kieran, yourself as a newbie to it as well, and one of your first things to do is a 24-hour challenge. Like, yeah, you're obviously up for a bit of pain and a bit of...
Yeah, I suppose I came from a GAA background, and I suppose I had a very different, introduction to cycling to Jenny. I became visually impaired 2 years ago, so I had a cerebral venous sinus thrombosis, which caused optical nerve damage to my right eye. So I had peripheral vision issues in the right eye, so like I can't see Jenny sitting beside me here now. And in my right eye, I'd essentially say what vision I do have is like being underwater. It's completely blurry. So I suppose I was forced into paracycling in a way. I was told I had to retire from all contact sports. So at that stage then I was kind of 12 months off work, and I was, suppose, in a place where I had gone from training 3 or 4 nights a week with the GAA and playing soccer to not being able to do anything. So I was really looking for something that could just get me out of the house at this stage, and I didn't think I'd be doing anything as mad as going to Mondello, but I got involved through Roscommon Sports Partnership, doing a bit of tandem cycling. I have a pilot myself up in Roscommon, Noel Feely, and Noel was good enough to bring me out around Roscommon. So we got the tandem bike through Vision Sports on loan last summer, and probably got out 2 or 3 times over the summer, and then parked up for the winter, because it's not something you would go out on in winter conditions, and you know there's road safety and all those kind of things to consider. But then we kind of really went at it from January, February this year. I sat down with Noel in my kitchen one evening, and I said to him, Noel, I want to do a few competitive races this year. So we entered the Paracycling League this year, and then that's how we got roped into doing Mondello 24.
Yeah, no, it's a huge achievement as well. This is the 4th year of the competition, but it's open to teams, but also individuals. So, like, there was actually individuals cycling that track as well. That's a major exertion and a huge...
Yeah. Just a shout out to Maeve from Link Cycling Club down in Ferban. She did it as a solo this year and came second in her category.
She came second in the ladies solo. A fantastic achievement.
Yeah, and in terms of breaks or time off the bike, is there any built into it at all, or is it 24 hours? Like?
Oh no, like once one of the team is out on the track, you have your time off, you know.
Yeah.
But it's usually filled with grabbing a cup or maybe a bit of bike maintenance, you know, in some cases. And
yeah, I suppose actually for the 24 hours.
Rapidly,
yeah.
So we had a team manager behind the scenes. So we were all chipped with our bikes, and we had a team manager who was watching a computer and spreadsheets to see. So if Billy and Jenny were out, she was tracking to say that, Kieran, you have to be ready in 10 minutes because Billy and Jenny are doing such a pace and they're on lap 4 and you need to be ready to go. So by the time they came back in, Gary, who's sitting outside there in the support team, Gary was there with a wristband that had to be passed between the 2 cyclists. So when we were transitioning, Gary and a couple of others were there to make that transition happen, and you couldn't leave the pit lane until you had the armband on to go again. So that was constant throughout the night, and I suppose you only got the rest in between to get something to eat and drink and try and grab a bit of sleep if you could. But the music and the crack behind the scenes then was a different ball game. There wasn't much sleep got in any pit.
How were the bodies afterwards?
I have to say, the body wasn't too bad. It was the lack of sleep. And I thought I'd be used to like lack of sleep after having, like, my little boy is 3 now. So I thought I'd be used to that. But no, Sunday, like, I guess you're running on adrenaline for the whole of the 24 hours. And then when you come home, you're just flat. And you just want rest and sleep and nice bath.
I can just imagine like that level of exertion as well. But like Kieran and Jenny, I mean, you're putting out you really are advocates and showing what the benefits of somebody getting involved. So somebody has a vision impairment, and like yourselves, where it came on at different stages of your lives, and you know, whilst it completely can discommode you, it doesn't mean you have to stop as well. So there's probably loads of people listening in a similar position and who probably haven't reached out yet and tried. If you were to encourage people to look at engaging with something like cycling, what sort of message would you give them this morning?
I guess if you have a vision impairment, definitely contact Vision Sports or your Vision Ireland representative, and they'll send you in the right direction. Like, there's no point sitting there waiting for people to come to you, because it just won't happen. You have to show a bit of interest and just get out there and put yourself in a slightly uncomfortable position in the beginning, but believe you me, it gets a lot more comfortable as you become more accustomed to the goings on. And cycling is a great community to be a part of. Like, you meet people from all over, and there's so many different events that you can travel to, and especially like if you're part of a club as well, like, they just bring you along, and it's brilliant, I have to say.
Well, we've had a text in from one of our listeners saying, listening to that young lady speaking about herself and her sister, she's a true inspiration to us all, and well done to her. I actually work as a volunteer with the local charity shop Vision Express since I retired, and now I volunteer, and they've been doing so for 6 years. I'm really enlightened having listened to that. Keep on doing so much work for this great cause, and may add that all these charity shops are now doing really well. So enjoy listening to that lady. So again, people are texting in saying, congratulations and well done, and being a role model as well. Kieran, for yourself as well, I mean, you've pretty much told as well, it's something that you were probably fortunate quickly to engage with it, but you're putting the call out for other people to say, look, just make those phone calls, reach out to even Tullamore Cycling and Touring Club on Facebook, and just get in touch and see what can happen.
Yeah, absolutely, Ronan. Like, I would have to say, I don't think the likes of Billy, Colin and Noel as pilots realise what they're doing for people. For me, I suppose this has changed my life. I was at a really low ebb in terms of my mental health as a result of what happened to me, and like, I don't think the lads realise what they're actually doing in terms of the physical and mental thing that they're bringing us out on the bike and what that does for us as individuals. So like, someone that came from a GAA background, I'm sure there's lots of people out there now who are retiring from GAA and thinking they're at their end of their tether, but I would say to you, get out and try and be a pilot. Do the piloting course. See, do you like cycling? If you only were able to bring someone out for an hour for a coffee run some Saturday or Sunday, it's going to make a huge difference to their lives.
You're speaking my language now.
Yeah, so, like, it's not all about competition. No. At the end of the day, I would love to be able to have 10 or 15 pilots around the Midlands, where if myself or Jen or anyone wanted to just go on a normal run for an hour on a Saturday or Sunday, that there's a group of pilots there. So I suppose that's what Vision Sports Ireland are trying to do. They're trying to get a number of pilots trained up, and they're trying to create a national register for people around the country. So there is a huge problem between the rural and urban availability of pilots. In the Dublin areas and in the high urban areas, there's a lot of pilots, but you come down the country to Roscommon, Offaly, it's putting a lot of pressure on the likes of Billy and Colin and these guys that are piloting, because there's 3 or 4 of us in the club that need pilots, but there's only 2 of them, and like, they can't be available. They've got personal lives as well. They have things to do. So
absolutely, and actually, but when you talk about maybe creating that register or pool of pilots, there's even long term, like, a tourist potential in that. Like, if people were coming to visit the country and wanted to be taken on the greenways. Billy, I'll go to you now as a pilot, and obviously, the guys are encouraging people to join. Kieran spoke about getting more pilots as well. You can clearly advocate for that as well. For anybody that's listening that thinks, you know what, I could absolutely do that, as Kieran said, even if it's just for an hour cycle on a Sunday morning, who knows what it might migrate into, maybe Mondello 24 next year. But for somebody who's maybe considering and thinking, right, I'd love to do this, what would you say to them?
Well, absolutely, give it a shot, and you'll quickly realise how enjoyable it is. There's a real feel-good factor to helping out someone that can't get out on their own bike, and with the availability of the tandem pilot training courses now, it's a huge leap forward, because it is scary getting out the first time. It's a different animal, and it's not easy to get used to for the first couple of spins, but once you're up and away, it's lovely. It's
second
great
nature
fun.
as well. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I think it's an absolute credit to all of you. And look, you've heard it there. The call is going out. If you are vision impaired and you'd like to try cycling, you now know what you can do and how you can go about that. If you are a cyclist who would absolutely love to volunteer your time and get involved, and get involved with people like Kieran and Jenny here, I mean, why would you turn down that opportunity? Another text come in there saying, great interview with Jenny, very proud of you. And doesn't say who they are, but sorry guys, they're all coming in for Jenny, unfortunately. But
that's okay.
Listen, it's an absolute credit to you as well. Billy Colton, Kieran Butler and Jenny Hillian, thank you so much for coming this morning as well. And looking forward to hearing more about what happens. And Kieran, best of luck with whatever to sign you up for next anyway.
Thanks, Ronan.
Thanks everybody.
Thanks, Ronan.
Time now for a quick break after that. And when it comes to representing our community and making voices heard, you're going to hear from local activist Maureen Ward after the break. Maureen is on her way to Pride in Dublin today, but she picked up a Lifetime Achievement Award in the recent Traveller Pride Awards, and they had a huge event in Athlone recently where they encouraged travellers of all ages, and particularly young travellers, to come into a safe environment, air what is concerning them at the minute, what issues they have, and what emerged, I think, has been issues within the general society but also within their own community. So Maureen will join me after the break and tell you exactly why she's on her way to Pride in Dublin this morning.
Saturday View on Midlands 103 with thanks to Lumcloon Energy, pioneering innovation, powering progress. lumcloonenergy.com.
Midlands travellers have been highlighting their underrepresentation in society, with young travellers from across the nation gathered recently in St Mary's Hall at Athlone to participate in the national Hidden Voices event as part of Traveller Pride 2024. The event was organised through the collaborative efforts of Exchange House Ireland, Galway Traveller Movement, Involve Youth and Community Services, the Irish Traveller Movement and Mincair Swidden. The combined efforts of these organisations saw a diverse group of young people come together to discuss and celebrate their heritage. The day began with a welcome, though, from Tullamore's Maureen Ward of Mincair Swidden. Now, Mincair Swidden translates as Travellers Talking. They're a national organisation based in Athlone that seeks to inform policy and find resolutions around matters affecting the travelling and wider communities. Maureen was recently presented with a Lifetime Achievement Award for her outstanding community work at this year's Traveller Prides Awards. Very good morning, Maureen.
Good morning, Ronan.
Traveller Pride, is that a relatively new phenomenon or has it been running for a number of years?
It has been running for a number of years, I think maybe 12, 13 years, if not longer. And it gives us the opportunity of promoting and showcasing among society the good work and positive work that travellers are doing. Sometimes it's the negative that gets promoted, so we focus on trying to show that we can do some good within our community and within society as well. Like, even for example, I was at a Traveller Pride event in Galway City recently, and Bounce Back, which is one of the recycling traveller groups in Galway City, looking at reclaiming the part of our culture, which is the recycling. The travellers were some of the first recyclers in the country, if not in the world. And they had a brilliant day, and I enjoyed a brilliant day with them. It was on a Saturday as well. So I really enjoyed going up and being part of it with them.
What sort of other kind of initiatives then and parts of the traveller culture are people trying to show again in the likes of Traveller Pride Week? Like when you mention recycling, is that now more in a kind of an artistic format than, say, maybe a more traditional thing of making tools or pots and pans?
Believe it or not, what Bounce Back does is they recycle mattresses.
Okay.
And they use the different parts and send them to the different, now all the technical stuff I'm not too familiar with, but they split them up anyway, and they recycle and reuse each part of the mattress, so nothing is wasted. And it's looked at, like even the plastic parts, some of it is converted back into plastic and it goes for the packing and for other items and that. And they go across the country doing that. And then you've got the tinsmiths, who are, there's only very few in the country at the moment doing that, and that was one of the trades that the travellers had around recycling the tin, making it into little pots and pans. And when the plastic came into operation, then that was gone. So it's only now kind of as I suppose remembering our cultural heritage. We want to watch somebody actually making the tin cans that somebody belonging to us used to make, and it's a way of remembering our own history and our own culture. And there would be the beady pockets then as well, which is another part of our culture where the traveller women would carry their beady pocket like with nowadays people have their handbag. Well, my ancestors and say grandparents and that would the grandmothers would have had their beady pocket, and the buttons then would represent all their family and friends that would have given them a button, and you would exchange buttons when you'd be meeting and parting company. And when you're at your fireside at night then, if you're just nothing to do, you tell your children and your family about the button that Mary gave you, or Teresa gave you, or Kathleen gave you, and what you were doing that day. And that's where part of the storytelling still goes on, where travellers look at the way of telling on the stories of days gone by and happier memories. And when they meet then again, they have a little gift for each other. It could be a holy medal they got down a knock. And that time it could be months before they'd see each other. Now, because of cars and public transport, we get to see each other more often. But I suppose the fact that we can't travel around the country as freely as we could before, it means that unless you have public transport in your area, and I'm sure people in rural Ireland will agree with this, that there isn't enough public transport for people, meant to get in
constant
to visit.
Contention, and one thing that came from that event in St Mary's Hall in Athlone, that Hidden Voices event, and it's been kind of reported in local media as well, was that many travellers still are highlighting their underrepresentation across society. Still a pressing issue for you. When it says within society, what areas in particular do you feel that travellers are deeply underrepresented in?
Well, at that event we were looking at highlighting with the young travellers because they were saying that nobody is listening to us. They don't see us properly. And for example, we asked them to design one of those tote bags that they could carry little bits on the day. And it was just to see if we could get them talking. And they came up with a wagon wheel which represents the traveller community, but they blocked off half of it, meaning that they're only half seen, that they're not seen as the full picture. And it's like that they're identified as travellers, but their culture is not identified, if you know what I mean. It's like me looking at you as a man, but knowing that you're a settled man, but I know nothing about you. I'm not giving you a chance to tell me about yourself or to show me all the good work you can do. And this is what the young travellers were looking at, was that nobody is giving them a chance. Within our own community, they're seen as the younger members. Go and sit down and behave yourself. Let the adults talk. You know, that kind of way. So it's kind of like they're being oppressed within the traveller community as well as within Irish society, and it makes it very hard on the young travellers. So we provided a space, a safe space, where they could express themselves and give out, if they wanted to give out, or highlight what they saw as being a traveller nowadays for them. And this was what was coming out, was that their mental health was being affected by the oppression that's happening, where there isn't that welcome for travellers, and hiding your identity means that if you hide your identity, you might be accepted and you might get on in life. But when you go home then, it's like living like Jekyll and Hyde, even though it's not a Jekyll and Hyde situation.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? That you're going out the door as leaving the house or leaving your home as the traveller, but going into the school as this child that cannot tell other children that I'm a traveller, I'm after coming from a caravan or from a traveller site. I have to hide my identity, otherwise I will get teased or bullied.
Yeah, that's,
you know what I mean?
That's a lot for a young person to try to cope with as well. We can look at that in two angles as well. You were saying almost the oppression within your own community, but also within the general community too. In the general community, what sort of issues are really popping up still, as well as you say, hiding that identity, which is a huge thing. Like that's an awful situation for anybody to have to go through as well. But that obviously then follows into things like if they were looking for work, if they were looking for maybe access to health service, or, you know, is that kind of where it still is? Is that still a huge issue?
It is, like, even if travellers are nomadic or moving around, from town to town because of lack of accommodation, they might decide, well, we'll try a different county. We might get a home there, a forever home for me and my kids and my husband and that kind of thing. And it means that you're being judged when you're going in, and even private rented. If you ring up, even if you sound really posh on the phone, or get a friend, even a non-traveller, to ring up for you, as soon as you arrive at the premises, oh, I am really, really sorry, this premises is gone now, and we really do apologise having you coming all this way. It's gone since last week, whereas it might only be yesterday that somebody was ringing and it was available. But as soon as they realise it's a traveller family, they don't want to know for different reasons. And I don't know, is it because they don't know enough about us, or is it because they have had a bad experience? And I don't condone violence or any kind of antisocial behaviour, but I don't also condone the fact that we're being judged or prejudged before people get to know us. And that's why one of the reasons that I don't mind going on the radio or going on the paper or doing anything like that is because if people see enough of us out there, they will say, our travellers aren't that bad, because I know Mary, I know Maureen, I know Johnny, this kind of thing. And I've had good experiences, and I'm good friends with travellers, not just a settled person saying, oh, I'm friends with travellers, I'm not racist.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The usual qualification for somebody, that if that phrase comes in, I'm not racist, it usually means the opposite. Yeah.
I would say the same thing to, I'm a human rights activist, not just a traveller activist. So if I saw a non-national being treated unfairly, even though I'm tiny, I would still have to step in and say, hang on, that's not on. You need to treat that person with respect and dignity.
Do members of the travelling community look at the way maybe non-nationals and migrants are treated, and huge work is put on the integration into communities? Do you look at that sometimes and go, why are we being ignored in this? Or is there a sense that you're not getting the same treatment?
I suppose there are some that would feel that way. I have to acknowledge that. But the majority of the traveller community would look at, because we are Catholics and we believe in sharing, and that's the way we were brought up, was that whatever one person had within the community, everybody had it. And growing up for my parents and grandparents, and it's their way of thinking has been passed down to my family, and I can speak, and for my family when I say this, that we try and share everything, so that even if a present is bought for one of my nieces or nephews, the other children know that they can actually play with that it doesn't mean that you can't touch it. You can, as long as the person is okay with you playing with it, you can play with it. It's just a toy, or a piece of property at the end of the day. It can be replaced. A human life, a human dignity or respect, and even the way you treat somebody, the effect that can have somebody can be very detrimental, and nobody deserves to be treated disrespectful. And we would try and speak up for other groups and non-nationals. Like, I've been out of the country at different times to conferences in Brussels around people experiencing poverty, and I would have seen and listened to other people from different countries talking about what it was like for them growing up and what it was like for them at the moment in their countries. So like other travellers that's working at local and national level, we would be engaging with other communities and not just leaving them out because of where they come from. And we try and not to be judgmental on that. Now, if somebody's doing something wrong, we're going to pull them up on it if we can, if it's safe to do so. But if it's not safe to do so, well, then we have to try and work another way to make it safe to do so. But that can take longer.
Yeah. You mentioned within your own community then kids maybe being asked to kind of sit in the corner or stay quiet as well, and that again causing maybe issues for younger members of the travelling community too. Is that a kind of a reflection on modern society now, where people are encouraged to find their voice and they've got greater connectivity in terms of maybe online and phones and social media than ever before? Is that a big challenge? And then how would the travelling community look at sort of trying to solve that issue and make sure that younger people are being heard and have their voices out there?
Well, the younger generations now are trying to be more inclusive of encouraging their young their sons and daughters, meant to be more outspoken and to say how they're feeling, because we have learned from the amount of young travellers who have taken their own lives. Suicide rates are really atrocious at the moment within the traveller community. But at that event, there would have been at least one or two traveller parents there, and they would encourage their own children to take part. So you can imagine some of the young people that was at that event, their father was there, and it was a safe space where their father wasn't there as their father, but he was there as their friend, for all of the young people to be open about how they felt and not to be worrying about that what happens in that room stays in that room, and that we can discuss everything and then bring the issues out of the room without bringing it that this person said that or that person said that.
There's lessons in that for many other sections of society as well. If they could engage in a process like that, it would have hugely positive implications. I know there was a report done there the last year or two from Oireachtas committee on the key issues affecting the traveller community, and about 11% of deaths in the community are through suicide as well. So clearly a huge issue. But in terms of getting people's voices out there, getting younger members or members of the community recognised as well, like you're making great strides with the events you've spoken about, but also you're on your way to Dublin today up to join the Pride Parade.
Yeah, looking forward to it because as they say with it, I have extended family members who are gay, and sometimes within the communities and within families, it can be hard for it to come out in that. And I feel that traveller organisations, as traveller organisations, we need to be shown solidarity. And I'm going up as the interim coordinator of Minker Sweden tomorrow, representing Minker Sweden and also representing Maureen Ward, the human rights activist. And I'm going up to meet up with Pavy Point staff and family groups, and we're going to go in together and walk in the parade together and show our solidarity with the gay members of our community, as well as all gay people. It's their day. And it's like everything else. It's the day to recognise that we accept you.
How will we spot you? Can you tell us have you anything special planned for the parade, for the march?
Well, I'm going to be the one carrying the Minker Sweden flag, screaming to the top of my head through the town. So people will spot me before they see me, because I've quite a loud voice when I've something to say.
A loud but powerful voice, and very valuable. Maureen, enjoy Pride in Dublin today, and keep up the great work, and looking forward to talking to you again on Saturday View on Midlands 103 very soon.
Okay, thanks very much, Ronan.
Saturday View on Midlands 103, with thanks to Lumcloon Energy, pioneering innovation, powering progress. lumcloonenergy.com.
Just a reminder of an event that's happening today. Offaly County Councillor Aoife Masterson has urged people to continue to protest against misogyny at a rally in Lloyd Town Park, Tullamore. It's taking place today from 1 to 2 p.m. Protests, of course, are continuing up and down the country in solidarity with 24-year-old Natasha O'Brien, who was knocked unconscious during an attack on O'Connell Street in Limerick City in May 2022. Her attacker, of course, was convicted of assault but given a 3-year fully suspended sentence. So 1 to 2 p.m. today in Lloyd Town Park in Tullamore, if that's something that you would like to lend your voice and opinion to. Other than that, hopefully, a few of you have texted in about your flights being cancelled there, particularly with Aer Lingus as well. Majority saying they've got money back, or they've got refunded, or they can change them. Biggest thing seems to be disappointed kids who were due to go on summer holidays and now can't go, but maybe some consolation in knowing they can go again. Talks will continue, I believe, on Monday in the Labour Relations Commission, and hopefully it will bring some resolution to that and allow people's summers to get back on track as well. That's really it though from Saturday View for this morning. Big thank you to this morning's guests, and really loads of you engaged and really interested in the paracycling story, and really phenomenal athletes, phenomenal individuals putting that call out. So if you have a vision impairment and you want to try cycling, or if you are a cyclist or somebody who would like to get into cycling and see yourself as being a pilot eventually, why not get involved? And clubs like Tullamore Cycling and Touring Club are there, and various other organisations right across the Midlands. And as you got from Jenny Healy and Kieran Butler and Billy Coulton this morning, huge gains for everybody to get involved, and really can be life-changing in every respect as well. You also heard from Maureen Ward there of Mink Hares, Swidden, and from Tullamore, but they're an Athlone-based group as well, a national representative group for travellers, and speaking about the issues that young travellers in particular face, not just in the wider community, but also within their own community too, and how they're really moving at creating those forums to allow them to express their opinions and try to bring resolution and make life better for everybody. That's it, time for me to go. Pete Casey is here with Feel Good Saturday from 11. I'll talk to you all very, very soon.
Saturday View, with thanks to Lumcloon Energy, pioneering innovation, powering progress. lumcloonenergy.com. Midlands 103.